if this is an inept government torn apart by internal contradictions, it would be a one thing. Law and order is supposed to be your government's strong suit. You are looking thoroughly incompetent in handling the situation in the state of Manipur. For all the claims of the BJP government on being strong in law and order, Manipur is exposing your weaknesses.
See, I have to say one thing here, Rahul. The thing is, in the month of March, APSWA was removed from Manipur. All right, fine. And why it was removed? It was removed because many of the political party, or many of the sects, or many of the organizations, or many of the people, they were saying the situation in Manipur doesn't require APSWA. Okay, government took their standing and they analyzed the situation. Yes, situation in Manipur is calm, peace is there, and APSWA should be removed. It was removed. And now what we see? In March it is removed and there's a violence after just couple of months. So again I'm going to say there is a conspiracy. But yes, I cannot deny this fact. I cannot deny this fact or the accusation of the opposition, and the reality is situation got disturbed. It went out of hand.
No, there may be a conspiracy. It's your job. I don't buy your argument at all. They're thoroughly unconvincing. No matter what conspiracy there is, it is your job in government to handle that conspiracy and to bring it to an end, which is the whole point of a strong government whose job it is to deal with these conspiracies. Don't cry wolf and don't cry conspiracy. Deal with it. That's why you're in government.
But the spokesperson is heckled. Aren't you going to allow me to complete what I want to say?
Because you're crying conspiracy and not being able to explain your inability to deal with it. Madam, it's your government's job to deal with the conspiracy at hand, if at all there is a conspiracy.
Sir, I am not denying that. I am not denying this fact. Law and order is the duty of any state government. And that duty has to be seen properly by the ruling government.
And that's not being done. Your Chief Minister has lost the faith of the people of the state. He's lost the faith of those who are watching at this time. And it is time for Mr. Biren Singh to step down. It is as clear as day for anyone who's thinking rationally that it is time for the Chief Minister of Manipur to pack his bags and to go home, and for there to be central rule imposed in the state of Manipur. Anything less will not heal the wounds of the state of Manipur at this time. I want to go across to General G.G. Dwivedi. He's commanded an army division in Manipur. I spent a lot of time growing up, as you know, General, with the Indian Army in different parts of Jammu and Kashmir. I have never heard, and in parts of Assam and Arunachal Pradesh, my dad never served in Manipur, but I've never heard of a situation where an army convoy, fully armed, which has militants or insurgents in it, gets stopped by a group of civilians, largely women, and those women are able to take the militants out. This is the Indian Army. Why is this happening? Why are they allowing it to happen, sir?
Well, Rahul, I think, most people just don't understand either the northeast or Manipur, because this region is very complex and it cannot be compared to any other part of India because of the complications and also certain ground situations which have no parallel. Why Manipur is in today's state is not suddenly it has jumped into this state. It has a little background, and I like to spend few minutes to give you the background and then come to what is happening.
No, could you answer
today.
my question? So
See,
since time is short, if you come straight to the question that I'm asking about the Indian Army acting in the manner that it does, where civilians are able to take insurgents away from an army convoy, and the army somehow seems unable to prevent that from, or unwilling to prevent that from happening. Respond just to this, General Dwivedi.
Yes, absolutely. You see, when we were operating in 2004, we were doing counter-insurgency operations. Means we had all the powers and we had a very clear mandate to go in for the militants or the anti-national elements. Today, army is not in counter-insurgency role. Today, army is in aid to civil authorities. Aid to civil authority means you have limited power and you only go and act when you have been called for. So therefore, those provisions which are there for the counter-insurgency are no more available to army, and army is not having a grid. It's operating in columns. and it doesn't have all the powers that you required.
No, so
when
are you
have to
saying
handle
that
such
because
situations,
AFSPA, the Armed
army
Forces
is
Special
only-
Powers Act was taken away, which I thought and many others would watch at this time is actually a good thing. Are you saying that's hindering the ability of the army to deal with such situations, and if AFSPA was actually reimposed, it might make things better? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes. Yes, the army role here is aid to civil authorities. Army's role here is not to fight counterinsurgency. So therefore, two things are entirely different, and army hands are tied. Because when you are in aid to civil authorities, you only act when the civil authority wants you to do that. And you don't go overboard, because when you are in counterinsurgency, you have all the powers to act. So therefore, there is a lot of caution with the army, and I am quite in sync with this situation, and I know this situation on the ground, that army has certain restraints, and those restraints are because the role of the army today is not
Yashovardhan Azad has his finger up, he wants to come in. Do you buy this argument by General Dwivedi that if AFSPA was imposed again, which is what Anila Singh also seems to have been suggesting without saying so directly, things may not have been the way they are at this moment?
I'm sorry, I don't agree at all. In fact, it's a very good thing that AFSPA has removed. In a democracy like ours and a rising superpower, I don't think there is any place for AFSPA. Army, the more the reason that the army comes for the aid to civil power, more the reason those 12 militants should not have been released. Gone are the days when you take the cushion of the AFSPA all the time. You have to save the country in a very, very difficult circumstances, whether it's on the border or whether it's inside. The paramilitary force CRPF is there, that is also fighting. So it's a question of saving Manipur. Everyone has to participate, and you can't be armed with all kind of powers. You have to handle these situations deftly, and that's what you're for. The army was stuck with tons and tons of supplies, and all those got rotten because it just not could move further. That cannot be an excuse. I'm sorry, I don't buy this.
General Dwivedi, respond to that, because you could have fired, for example, in the air, you could have tried to disperse the crowds, there are terrorists, insurgents with you in that convoy. A group of civilians can't simply come and take them away, sir. That's not how the Indian Army typically works.
Yes, Rahul, I'd like to explain. You see, army has two roles. When it is doing counter-insurgency operations, it is totally in charge of the whole area, and it has complete freedom to act, complete freedom to fire. But when the army is in aid to civil authorities, then the army has certain constraints. And these constraints are when the civil magistrate has to actually give situation to the army, and then army can fire, it can use force, and it has to use minimal force. So therefore, today army is operating under a lot of constraints, and those constraints are, it is in aid to civil authorities. And second point I want to mention, that there is total breakdown of law and order. There is no, in fact, law and order. Police is absolutely ineffective. In fact, it is on the partisan lines. It is supporting their own ethnic groups, and the government of the state is not effective. And you cannot, this situation has not been handed to the army. Army is only in aid to civil authorities.